Hi everyone, it's Chris here from New Zealand, and this week I'm going to be sharing with you some of the tools I've developed and published on my website that you can use. So we've been looking at AI and machine learning tools in the previous tools in the Office AI series, and we've been developing them using Python and Visual Studio Code, and I've been providing you with source code and explaining how to run them and use them in your daily Office examples. I understand it's not easy for everybody to access and run Python, and it might seem a bit intimidating, even though it's not really that complicated, but not everybody's got the time to study into it and to figure out how it works and runs. So what I thought I would do is also for me to learn something new, but also to share this with everybody, is to publish these as Python-driven web apps. And here they are. This is what it looks like, and I'm going to talk you through each of these. So we've got a stock scanner here, and I'm using this for my other channel where I do stock analysis and stock planning for stock trading. And here is another one for stock trend and sentiment. And the ones for the Office AI series that we've developed so far, the transcribe audio and video, a meeting summarizer, and a PowerPoint presentation generator. Now, before we jump into the tools, I'll just quickly show you how I've published these and how I've come to create web apps from the Python scripts. Now, I'm using Hugging Face as the platform to publish my apps in Spaces. So in Hugging Face, if you're not familiar with it, I'm sure you would be, but if you're not, there's a tool called Spaces. And what this allows you to do is to publish apps such as the PowerPoint presentation generator by uploading your Python scripts. And it will automatically build this on a hosted cloud computer for you, and you'll be able to view this with a user interface and actually use it as a typical web application, which is amazing. I've went through several options or trials before deciding on Hugging Face Spaces. I tried Streamlit. Streamlit has got a really powerful UI front end library and tool set for Python as well. And some of the tools I actually built for Hugging Face Spaces is also built with Streamlit, which I'll explain in a bit. But the Streamlit cloud setup didn't quite work for me. In some cases, when I tried to run some of the apps, I ran into a lot of issues and I just didn't have the time or the patience to try and solve them. But when I ran them in Spaces, it just immediately works. So for this particular app, if I access the files part of it, you'll notice I've got my typical Python scripting settings here. So I've got a README, there's an app.py, and there's the requirements.tst, very similar to the layout that I've been sharing with you in the source code I've been making available to you. I'll show you how these apps work and how they can benefit you without any coding inputs. So if you wanted to go straight to that, skip a bit forward. Otherwise, I'll quickly just explain how I've set up the Hugging Space sections. So in the requirements.txt and Hugging Space spaces for this particular app, you can see it's just the typical standard requirements file content. So here I specify what needs to be installed with pip install. And then we've got the app.py, which is the same source code that we've used before, except I've wrapped it up in the Gradio UI. And Gradio, just like Streamlit, is a tool that we can use that will help us to create a user interface for our Python scripts. So in this particular case, it's got a text box where it asks for the Open API key, and it's going to use a password mask for that. It's got another text box, which is going to ask for the topic of this PowerPoint that it's going to generate. It's got a number box where we're going to enter the number of slides we want to generate, and it's got a default value, a minimum and a maximum that we can preset. It's got a radio button for none, few, and many when it asks about the graphical presence in those slides. And then we can select between the available ChatGPT models available to your account if you've got one. So when you enter your Open API key, you need to choose whether you've got access to ChatGPT 4. Otherwise, you can select GPT 3.5 Turbo. And then it's going to ask you to upload. So there's an input upload file component as well, a template PowerPoint document. And then we've got an output section where it's going to provide that outputted file for us. And that is all we really need for this. And if you need more information on how to create Gradio apps, then leave your comments in the post below, and I'll make a future video on how to create Gradio apps. Okay, now let's jump straight into the apps and see what they do. And I'm going to head over to the ones that we've been setting up for the Office AI environment. If you want to know more about the stock scanner and the stock trend and sentiment tool, then I'd suggest heading over to my other channel, comments on the links below, or links in the comments below. And then you can see what those do for stock trading. But for the Office AI tools, transcribe audio or video. If you click on Open App there, then you'll see that it opens up with the app front end. And we've got two different setups here. There's a simple method and there's a more complicated method. And what we are going to do here is we're going to be uploading a file that is either audio or video format. So MP4, AVI.mov, or MP3 or M4A, doesn't matter as long as it's a valid media format. For video or audio, you can upload it here. We're going to set the language model that's going to use. In my case, medium works fine in most cases. We're going to specify the input language. So let's just select that here, English. And then we're going to upload the file. Note, you can also enter a YouTube URL there, or we can record from microphone. Now, in my example, I want to upload a meeting that I've recorded. Okay, and I'm just going to select this one here. It's a sample meeting that we've used in the past. It's only 5 minutes and 31 seconds. So we'll upload that. And what we need to do is to make sure that we wait for the upload to complete, and we'll know it's done when the download button becomes available. The task here is transcribe. You can also choose to translate, but we'll just stick with transcribing. And then there is the method that's going to use for transcribing that audio. And you'll see here the voice activity detector is something that we can set, and it tells you here if it's longer than 10 minutes and not in English, it is recommended that you use the Celero VID. We'll just stick with that as the default, and we'll keep the rest of the settings as default. And what we would like to extract from this is the actual text file, which is the transcript. So I'm going to hit submit, and this is going to take a bit of time to run through, so we'll let that go. Okay, so we can see that that is now completed. It has provided us with the transcription. It has created a web VTT file, which is a transcript file that we can use to, and an SRT file and a .json file, which we can use to import into our videos and show that as subtitles. But all we really care about in this workflow, and this is because we want to create, remember, the minutes of our meetings with an actions output list. So all we want here is the transcript. So I'm going to click on the download button, and it's going to download that transcript for us. Now, if we head back to the dashboard and we go to the meeting summarizer and we open up this app. Okay, so here we're going to enter the API key. We are going to select the transcript that we've just exported. We will select GPT-4 for the LLM, and we're going to enter the topic of the meeting here. And then we're going to select from our list here what it is we want. Let's say we want a short summary. We click on run, and it's going to process that information, and it's going to give us, hopefully, a short summary of the meeting. This wouldn't take as long as it did with the transcribes process because it's a lot less to do. But there we go. There is our summary. And if we wanted to see action points from the meeting, again, we can just change that command and we can run that tool, and it's going to give us a list of actions and dates and responsible persons taken from the transcript, which is really amazing. I'll just give that a second to run. And there we go. So it's telling us here is a short summary, and here are action points of what to do and by who at which time. So really, really cool. All right. And now if we look at some of the other tools here, we've got the PowerPoint presentation generator. This one, again, very simple to use. All we need to do here is enter our Open API key. We provide a topic. So I'm going to say AI advances in 2023. And we're going to say, let's produce 10 slides. We can choose between none, few, or many graphics in the output. We select our GPT model, and now we need to select a PowerPoint template file. So I've selected a blank template. It's just an empty template. I open a PowerPoint deleted everything, just kept the first slide and then saved it again. So there's nothing inside of it. You can see it's only 31 kilobytes. And when we hit submit, it's going to start generating that PowerPoint presentation for us. And we'll give that a second to run through. And voila, there we go. It's created the PowerPoint for us. There's a download button with a link and it's 1.5 megabytes. And if we click on that and we open it, we should see our generated presentation. There we can see AI Advances in 2023. It's provided a subtitle there for us, and it's got a overview. It's got our slides. Without going into all of the content, it looks really great. It's telling us about AI in various sectors and industries, the rise of GPT-3, ethics and regulation, the future of AI, some breakthroughs to anticipate. So what's in the future of AI, and it ends with a thank you slide. So really excellent results. All of that just by pressing a couple of buttons and using that in our Gradio app. So that makes it a hell of a lot easier than working and running the Python scripts directly. And you're welcome to use these. They're all published on Hugging Face Spaces and available from the dashboard here at chrisforster.com/AI. Okay, thanks. Next time we'll look at automating emails and generating email content for mass distribution for marketing. Okay, cheers.